Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hello to everyone. My name is Ahmad Ishaq bin Ahmad Isa and my metric number 288411. In this video, I will present about introduction and background of unemployment and GDP in Malaysia from 2002 to 2012. The main issues in the economic development of a country are employment and the unemployment rate. Unemployment is one of the problems that are often faced by developed and developing countries and also the poor. The country is said to have sustainable growth if its unemployment rate is low. On the other hand, if the unemployment rate is high, it means that there is a waste of human resources. One of the objectives of a country's economic management is to ensure the economic growth sustainable. In this regard, gross domestic product (GDP) is one of the components in national accounting, has been widely used in whole of the world as a benchmark for measuring the size and rate of economic growth of a country. Next, firstly the definition of unemployment. The term of unemployment refers to a situation where an individual is looking for a job and unable to find a job. They belong to the labor force of a country, namely those between the ages of 15 until 64 who are willing to work. The total labor force is the number of people in this age range after deducting the number of people in this working age range but not working, such as housewives, students, and volunteer unemployed. Secondly, the types of unemployment. There are 4 types of unemployment frequently referenced in economics. First, the frictional unemployment. Second, cyclical unemployment. Third, structural unemployment, and fourth is institutional unemployment. Secondly, the definition of GDP. The definition of GDP is the total value of the final goods and service produced by factors of production in a country over a period of 1 year. In terms of the concept of GDP, can be calculated through 3 main approaches, namely production, expenditure, and income. The next point is economic background in Malaysia. The background of Malaysian economy is divided into 3 parts, namely the colonial era, the post-independence era, and the new era now. First, the colonial era. During the British rule, there were many changes on the national economy when mining and rubber cultivation were introduced to replace the subsistence economy practice in the pre-colonial era. The mining and rubber plantation sectors became the main resource of the country economy. Second, the post-independence era. After independence, the Federation of Malaya has drawn up a periodic economic development plan for every 5 years, known as the Malaya Plan. During this period, the focus was on the development of the rural sector and diversifying the country's resources. The last is the new era now. The Black events of 13 May 1969 had a dramatic impact on the Malaysian economy. The racial riots at that time were believed to be due to the existence of imbalances in many aspects, especially the economy between the Bumiputra races and non-Bumiputra. This is affected by British policy of division and order. Therefore, the new economic policy 1970 to 1990 was introduced to solve economic problems and restructure the international economy.
Okay, now so let's proceed to the issue of unemployment rate and GDP growth rate in Malaysia 2002 to 2012. Assalamualaikum and hello guys, my name is Nur Idina Akila binti Muhammad Zaidi. My metric number is 288025. So the main issue in the economic development of a country is the high unemployment rate. If we view closely, almost the entire country suffers from this unemployment problem. And not only in Malaysia, however, the problem of unemployment disrupts economic development in the country to some extent. A country is said to have sustainable growth if its unemployment rate low. On the other hand, if the unemployment rate is high, it means that there will be a waste of human resources. As we all knew, if there is a problem or some issue that happen, they might have some effects or factors why that happen and what will happen. So here there are some effects of unemployment is the declining living standards of the people. The development of the country is slowing down. This is because when the infrastructure in a country cannot be developed for the purpose of national development due to insufficient national income to be spent towards infrastructure development. Okay, next, there was an increase in crime rates. This is because when they are unemployed, they do not have the income to cover their needs. This will cause them to commit criminal activities such as robbery, theft, and burglary to obtain money to cover their needs. Then there will be the family problems. This usually happens when the head of the family is unemployed and unemployed for not working, cause the daily needs and wants of family members cannot be met, such as rice, vegetables, and others. This narrowness creates tension in the family and causes all sorts of family problems such as divorce. Also, the effect of unemployment is a declining government revenue. Unemployment causes the collection of personal income tax to decrease as many of the labor force are unemployed. The proceeds of this tax collection will cause the company's income to decline due to the decline in company's profit investment. This will affect government spending to develop the country towards a more developed. Let's proceed to the factors. As we know about the effects of unemployment in Malaysia, here are some factors in the occurrence of unemployment. First among them is that employers want to reduce the cost of their own expenses by not accepting additional employees. Next, apart from that, the cause of unemployment is also due to number of labor forces not being commensurate with the number of jobs that can absorb it. Unemployment is often a problem in the economy because with unemployment, productivity and income of society will decrease until the emergence of poverty and other social problems. Next, the cause of the unemployment problem among youth is the attitude of youth who like to choose the type of jobs. Youth today are more likely to choose high-paying jobs and do not belong to 3D jobs, which are dirty, difficult, and dangerous jobs. This can be evidenced by the number of local workers working in the agriculture, industrial, and coaching sectors, as manual labor is very small compared to the foreigners. Unfortunately, the jobs that are the choice and dream of most youth are very limited when compared to the number of graduates produced by the Institute of Higher Learning IPT each year.
Hello, I'm Adisan Guling. My matrix number is 288912. Today, I would like to talk about analyzing the trends of employment rate and GDP growth rate from 2002 to 2012. Based my for the information here, the trend for employment rate is within 3 and 4, between 3 and 4. with the highest is in 2009 when the Malaysian economy is going down because of the recession, and we know the trend for the 2009 is very high, especially in February and March, which the percentage for the employment rate is 4.1 and 4% respectively, 4.1 and 4. We also have I also another one that also higher than 4, that is quarter 2 2003 is also reached 4. The remaining is all of them is most of them 3, with the also lowest is 2.9, that is in February 2011 and March 2012. So that is employment rate is very low, not compared to the other countries in Asia, especially if you can see in Thailand, Indonesia, and also in the Philippines. The employment rate for those countries is very high compared to Malaysia, but not to in Singapore and Brunei. Those countries that is Singapore and Brunei is very low and lower than Malaysia as well. Let's go back to the GDP growth rate. So the percentage for the average was going to be start 2002 to 2012. The highest is in 2007 with 6.175, and the lowest 2 years later, that is 2009, that is negative 1.675, which also concentrates to Malaysian economic block disaster that's happened to the recession again around the world. With a negative, it's going to be quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. The story for those recession for this one which affect the GDP growth start back in quarter 4 2008, and then the recovery is fully done by quarter 4 the next year. So based on my information, the Malaysian GDP growth rate is always between 5 and 7. But it's not in 2008 and 2009, which 2008 lower than 5, and 2009 reached negative growth rate. So as a country study for the relationship between the employment and GDP growth rate, I would say that this one, the employment in Malaysia may affect to the GDP points depending economic problems, recession, even the economic crisis caused by consistency country government management. Like happened in the 2008-2009 economic crisis, most countries, including Malaysia, employment rate has been increased, means the GDP rate is also in negative, which was in a row. That means we can call the economic recession. Eventually, Malaysia economy is relatively low and stable around 3%, but not have, like I said earlier, that is one, which means the population is experiencing close to full employment. Malaysia's private economy is considered one of the strongest in Southeast Asia. Together with years of political stability, it has been supporting successful employment rate and good growth rates each year. Malaysia is very consistent until then, at the time in 2012, and we understand that Malaysia stay strong until that year. I'm hoping that the continue Malaysia stay strong, even especially COVID-19 pandemic, because Malaysian GDP growth rate is stay in negative, so that in this year. So I hope this is going to be economic in Malaysia stay consistent until today. So thank you so much anyway.
Next, we continue with solution of unemployment. As we know, the high unemployment in the country can have a negative impact. So, to solve this problem, government must take the initiative so that the rate of unemployment become low and able to increase GDP. The first initiative that is implemented by the government is Program Penjana Kerjaya. This program is under the Ministry of Human Resources through the Employer Social Security Organizations, and objective of this program is to improve the knowledge and skill of youth in their world of work through on-the-job training to increase their marketability, and this program was developed to stimulate the generation of employment and increase employment opportunities due to the problem of unemployment. In the implementation of this program, a total of 2 billion has been allocated by government and is expected to provide employment opportunities to 250,000 job seekers and to reduce the unemployment rate in the country. So we can see that the National Economic Regeneration Plan (PENJANA) program can also indirectly stimulate job demand among employers and increase employment opportunities and job availability among local job seekers, as well as address the problem of unemployment in Malaysia. Next is Reskilling and Upskilling Program. This program is implemented under the Ministry of Human Resources with a focus on employee marketability and job matching, and it aims to ensure that employees are always able to adapt their skills in line with current developments. In this initiative, various programs have been organized such as Upskill Malaysia, Upskill.my, National Institute of Entrepreneurship, Veteran ATM Retraining and Skill Upgrading Program, PENJANA KPT Program, Professional Certifications, and others. For 2021, the government has allocated a total of 1 billion ringgit for 200,000 trainers. These skills upgrading and retraining efforts can reduce unemployment and address structural change in the labor market. Next program is Short-Term Employment Program, as known as MyStep. MyStep is a program announced by the Honorable Minister of Finance that provide training and short-term placement in the public sector as well as government-linked companies and its strategic partner under the Ministry of Human Resources that target Malaysian 18 and above. The government's allocation in this initiative is over 700 million ringgit and offers 50,000 contract employment opportunities in the public sectors and government-linked companies starting January 2021. However, the MyStep initiative will also be continued for 2022 by offering 80,000 contract employment from January 2022. According to the Ministry of Finance, Budget 2022 also target 220,000 trainers to undergo various training programs and skill upgrading with a total allocation of 1.1 billion. The program is said to be able to address the problem of unemployment and create more job opportunities as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic that hit the world. And the last is Wage Subsidy Program, PSU. PSU is financial assistance under the Ministry of Human Resources paid the employer of each enterprise for each local employee earning 4,000 ringgit and below. The purpose of the PSU is to assist employers who are economically affected by COVID-19 to able to continue their company's operations as well as prevent employees from losing their jobs and source of income for all enterprise. Through stimulus package, wage subsidy are provided for up to 9 months with an allocation of more than 15 billion ringgit. A total of 1.5 billion ringgit is allocated and is expected to help about 70,000 employers and 900,000 workers. The program will also ensure that employers are not allowed to lay off their employees earning 4,000 ringgit and below during the period of receiving this assistance. This initiative is indirectly one of the social security protection for workers to prevent unemployment.